Musician Monday. Ray Charles Robinson, Georgia. Oh, Ray. Blind sensation, hot to try. He was something else. Let's get started. Ray Charles Robinson is an American singer, songwriter, and pianist. He's known as one of the most iconic and influential musicians of the 20th century, often referred to as a genius. Ray Charles Robinson was born September the 23rd, 1930, in Albany, Georgia. So that means he's a Libra. Ray was the son of Bailey and Aretha Robinson. Bailey was a guy that adopted Aretha when she was younger before she had Ray. He SA'd her and she became pregnant with Ray. They were living in Greenville, Florida. Once that happened to Ray's mother, Aretha, she moved back home to Albany, Georgia with family. After Ray was born, she moved back to Greenville to share the rearing of Ray with the wife of Bailey, who had already walked out on his wife and went and started another family elsewhere. Child. When Ray was younger, he often liked to watch people work with mechanical objects, working on their cars and farm equipment. He was highly interested in that until one day he ran across this cafe called the Red Wing Cafe, where he heard a man by the name of Willie Pittman playing the boogie woogie on the piano. Ray would go by almost every day, and that's when Pittman would start to teach him how to play the piano. Ray was only 3 years old. Yes, 1 year after Ray was born, his brother was born, George Robinson. Willie Pittman also helped out with the rearing of Ray and his brother George due to them being poor. And by the age of 4, Ray's brother George Robinson drowned due to falling inside of his mom's laundry basket. By the age of 4 or 5, Ray started to lose his sight. And by the age 7, Ray was completely blind, which was likely a result of glaucoma. Due to Ray's mother Aretha being poor, uneducated, and highly grieving the death of her son George, she sought out help for Ray so that he could get the best education that he could because she felt like she just could not do it anymore. And from 1937 to 1945, Ray attended the Florida School of the Deaf and Blind in St. Augustine. And there he learned to play various of instruments including the piano, saxophone, clarinet, trumpet, and the organ. Ray furthered his music career by learning the piano lessons and taking up learning the music of composers such as Bach, Mozart, Beethoven, Chopin, and so on. He had a music teacher by the name of Miss Lawrence that taught him how to read and write music by using the method of Braille, which is a difficult process of learning the left and right hand of movement and combining together for the blind and the deaf. And by 1945, Ray's mother had passed and he was only age 14. Ray didn't return back to school after the funeral. After Ray's mother passed, he moved to Jacksonville, Florida with a friend of his mother, where he started to find work in and out, just trying to put himself on the map. He eventually was doing in and out jobs, making less than $4 a night, here and there at bars, auditioning for bands. Little no success. He was getting his name out there, but success was not moving the way that Ray wanted it to. So by age 16, Ray had moved to Orlando, Florida, in hopes to putting his name out there, basically living in poverty, going without days of food, and no luck of becoming famous. A few more years go by, and Ray tried to establish himself as Nat King Cole, but it just did not work for him. They said they had enough of the king already. But eventually, Ray said it was time to get out of Florida and to move to a bigger area. And that's when he settled into Seattle, Washington with a friend, where he was dealing with Robert Blackwell and eventually befriended 15-year-old Quincy Jones. It was from there where he formed this trio group called the Sun Trio, where they was playing the 1 a.m. to 5 a.m. night shift at the rocking chair. Now, working at the rocking chair with the McSun Trio, I'm sorry. Ray started to write songs for other artists, and it started to get him to travel more on the road, where he eventually had moved to Los Angeles by the 1950s. Now, some kind of way, Ray ended up back in Miami, Florida, where he was in one of the most segregated part of Florida, but it was Florida flourishing called Overtown. That's where Ray was eventually discovered by Jerry Wexler. So by 1951, he was signed to Swing Time Records, where he was making the song Baby Let Me Kiss You and Baby Let Me Hold Your Hand. But within a year, Swing Time had crashed under, and that's when he met Ahmed, where he was signed with Atlanta Records. So by 1952, Atlanta Records had took over and bought Ray contract for $2,500. Now, $2,500, y'all, that's like $30,000 today. And this is where he got his first recording session with the Midnight Hour and Roll With Me Baby. Something like that. And later on, within the next year and the next year, it was doing the Mess Around he recorded. And I've got a woman way over town. So by 1958, Ray was headlining it, y'all, at big places like Showtime at the Apollo, Carnegie Hall, and the Newport Jazz Festival, where Ray recorded his first live album. All right now. Now later on, Ray went to perform that famous song "Baby What I Say," which was banned by a lot of people there because it was combined with blues, gospel, jazz, and a little Latin music, and people were saying it was too sexual. But despite it all, Ray hit the top charts with that one. So by 1959 to 1967, Ray had moved in from Atlantic Records to ABC. Now, Ray did not want to leave Atlantic, but they could not match this impossible deal that ABC was offering. The deal was 75 cents on every dollar. Ray said he went to his folks and told them, look, I'm showing y'all this. If y'all can match it, y'all ain't got to be the eye stack. And they told Ray, we can't do it. It's okay if you walk away. Well, until the very end of his day, he remained friends with Atlantic Records. There was no bad blood. Now, ABC Records offered Ray a $50,000 advance. Y'all, that is like $550,000 today. Higher royalties and even the ownership of his own masters, which was a very big deal back then. Now, ABC Records had a different swing from Atlanta. That's where Ray recorded Georgia's On My Mind. Now, his regular team, they did not like that because it was bringing a different sound out of him. But Ray enjoyed it because he enjoyed all kinds of music. He even won a Grammy for the song Hit the Road Jack. Now with the juice. By 1961, that's when they started to know that Ray was on that board. Yes, that boy, that null and void. He had got raided in the hotel by November when he was on tour. They found some of that boy up in his room, but the charges was eventually dropped because it was all bogus, just trying to throw my man out there. But y'all know Ray was struggling hard. What they said, Ray had that itch. I think it just made Ray music better. So between 1967 and 1983, Ray was hitting a crash out period. He had started recording. He has left ABC Records and started recording on his own record label, the Crossover label. Sorry, the Crossover Record. And in 1977, he re-signed with Atlantic Records, where he was back with Ami. By then, they had Miss Hot Prince Diva, Aretha Franklin, and she was not to be ignored. Now, by 1978, Ray had wrote his own autobiography called The Brother Ray, The Ray Charles Story, where he admitted he lost his virginity at the age of 12 to a 20-year-old woman. Ray said his only addictions always been to smack and cigarette, and he was obsessed with women. He loved them. He did not know how to leave them alone. Now, Ray was married twice, y'all. The first one lasted less than a year. Of course, the second one was for 22 years to Miss Della B. Howard Robinson. They married in 1955. They had 3 children, but due to his addiction, his habits, and his infidelities, by 1977, Miss B was filing for a divorce. And y'all, Ray said he couldn't even blame her. Ray had a dozen kids. Yes, a dozen. He was popping them out with all them women he was sleeping with. The main one was Miss Marjorie Hendricks, where he had a 6-year long affair. I think he was the most in love with her. She was one of the Ray. And Ray even had another, he had a son with Marjorie, and he had a daughter with another one of the Ray. Ooh, Jack. Over several years, he was being arrested for drug possession. And by 1964 is when he finally decided that he wanted to kick the habit, and then he went to rehab. So by 2003, Ray hip started declining due to a hip replacement. On June 10, 2004, Ray passed away due to liver failure in his home in Beverly Hills, California. 8 days later was his funeral, which was attended by numerous famous musicians, whom each played a tribute at the funeral. Ray Charles, you was a legend.